Nitro is dead. Crown crack, legacy bled. But the real ones rise from the dirt. Kevin Impact, Nick kicking in, legends alert.
Nitro is dead.
Body cold on the pavement.
Fake throne empty.
No more enslavement. Them back crashing waves. Demolition pavement.
Nick kicking in, shadow strike, lethal engagement. Nitro is dead.
Echo in the graveyard.
Heavy beats dropping.
We playing it hard.
Legends eternal. Bars never fade.
Impact and kicking in.
Forever remain.
Kevin Impact, step in the ring. Feel the quake. Don't flop days, body and foes. No mistake. Punchlines land like earthquake. Shake the foundation. From Pikeville roots to UK domination. Bleak try to clash. Got buried in the verse. Dialect duck, but Impact made it worse. Aggressive flow, no mercy. Straight carnage.
Every bar a barrage, leave them damaged.
He built from the basement. Ciphers to stages. No gimmicks, just rage. Breaking out cages. When Nitro flex, fake Impact. Shut the gate. One round, one kill. Legends fate. Heavy 808 pound while the crowd go insane.
Kevin reload, bring the pain. Nitro is dead. Body cold on the pavement. Throne empty.
No more enslaving.
Impact pressing grave.
Demolition pavement.
Nick kicking in, shadow strike, lethal engagement. Nitro is dead.
Echo in the graveyard.
Heavy beats dropping.
We playing it hard.
Legends eternal. Bars never fade. Impact and kicking in. Forever remain. Remain.
They're kicking in. Phantom in the mist. Ghost mode activated. Silent killer calculated. Never hesitated. Metaphors twisted like barbed wire fences. Underground menace. Defenses defenseless. Strike from the shadows. Precision incision. Leave ops wishing they never made the decision. No spotlight. Hunger but the skill make them shiver.
Pikeville,
Cold heart. Deliver the liver. Everyone in the cipher. Anime soul. Hockey grit. Counter every move. Make the whole scene quit.
Nitro talk loud, but the legends stay quiet. Now the thrones calling. Nick rising defiant.
Heavy bass rumble while the Sphinx creeps slow.
Kicking in strike, watch the body hit the floor.
Nothing tried the rain, but the fire went out. Fake kings crumble when the real come about. Kevin smashing forward, Nick cutting the route. Heavy beats banging, no doubt. No doubt.
Nitro is dead. Nitro is dead. Kevin Impact brain, Nick kicking in pods. Heavy beats thumping, Memphis over shred. Hate feel forever.
The crown on her head.
Nitro is dead.
The real undead.
Impact kicking in.
We reload, we ahead.
Ladies and gentlemen, what a podcast we just got through doing with Ricky Armstrong, but this is a huge podcast, especially if you're a JTV fan. Not only on episode 2, we brought a JTV star, we brought a legend. This is actually a blessing and a half to bring this man in. One of the best hardcore champions JTV will probably ever have in the history books. As I introduce this man to the podcast, I want you guys in the chat to give him a warm welcome. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, let's bring in the one and only Colin Klein to the Nitro is Dead episode.
Hello.
We got a lot of questions going to be in the comments, but how you're feeling, Colin, being the very first Nitro is Dead podcast, being your debut on this podcast?
I'm excited, man. I know you've been wanting to do a podcast with me for a while, and I'm happy to be here.
I mean, you know, me and Ricky touched up on a few subjects before I could get you on air. Now, the questions are buzzing us. We got a first comment here. Shendon showed up in the chat, the JTV World Champion. Shout out to him.
Hey, son.
Holding JTV down on lockdown. If you guys got questions, now's the time to send them in that chat. I'm pretty sure Colin will try to answer them the best way he can. So,
Oh, yes.
Now, being the hardcore champion of JTV, Colin, I want to ask you this question. I asked Ricky the same question. Could you beat JTV World Champion Shendon?
You never know. Maybe. I know I can give him a run for his money. If I'm being brutally honest with you.
Speaking about JTV, we got somebody that is the owner of JTV, but also a good friend of mine. J Kid asked, what are your views on Drama and Kyle?
I mean, if you think about it, man, looking at how professional wrestling is, there's politics and then there's drama. Look at the NWO and WCW, for example. There's always going to be drama and politics in CAW. Unfortunately, I've had my fair share of drama and politics. JTV has no politics. If I can put that forward. Everyone, we try to get on, we try to get along, we try to work with each other. There's no one saying, oh, we should bury this guy, we should get rid of this guy, blah, blah, blah. But there's so much drama in CAW, and I came into CAW looking to escape. You know, we all did. And when you have toxic people around that want to boss people around and want people to kiss their ass and stuff, you know, man, that's not how call should be. I go online. Huh?
I definitely agree with that, but continue.
Yeah. Like you have, I play online a lot, and there's not many people who use CAWs. They use regular wrestlers. If you notice that, I've noticed that they haven't been using. It's very hard to find people who use calls nowadays on online wrestling. Having some ginger ale.
Also,
what other? Yeah.
Kevin Impact asked, "What are your views on people eating sushi?"
I've tried sushi in the past and I didn't like it, but that was when I was a teenager. I'm open to eating it. The thing is, I'm not a big fan of eating something that's raw. Apparently, that's why they have wasabi. Although it's not real wasabi, it's artificial because real wasabi is really hard to come by and expensive. But if I was gonna eat sushi, I'd probably want to eat it cooked. I don't feel comfortable eating raw fish.
Now, another question Kevin Impact asked is, what do you think about cats?
I love cats. I'm a cat person. Actually, I had a cat named Nova who passed away last April. And she was a mischievous cat, but she was a sweetheart. She loved cuddles and stuff. I have two cats. I have Luna, which was Nova's sister, and then I have Sally that I got back in September.
Another question by Kevin Impact. He's throwing a lot of questions tonight. What do you think about WWE2K26?
It's an upgrade. You know, it's an upgrade every year. I'm not excited to get it, and I don't like the prices. I cannot stand how expensive. You want to know how expensive the Monday Night War edition is up here in Canada? $210. That's ridiculous. I didn't think I could ever see a video game be that expensive, but you're selling a piece of crap, a fresh coat of paint for $210. That's ridiculous. I'm not gonna get it. I am gonna get 26. I'm probably gonna try to get the standard edition, or if any other editions are on sale, I might try to get it.
Also, J Kid
But
asked, where do you
yeah,
see what do you see in Call for 10 years?
that's a tricky question. I have pretty pessimistic views on Cobb, but within 10 years, here's hoping. Here's hoping they'll actually have like TV shows and stuff about it. You know, you have shows on YouTube. You have JTV, you have TNA, you have COH, you have FAM. I'm not really sure if FAM is back. I don't really watch FAM like that. You have all these promotions. You have WWU and PWA, which are kind of like TNA. They're universe mode shows, and they're really, really good. I highly recommend you check them out. Shout out to Alex King and Alpha Wolf James Daniel Parrott. Very, very, very kind guy. He runs WWU.
Also, J Kid asked, what do you think about WWE and AEW today?
I don't like I if you guys are into current wrestling today, that's fine. Me, I don't like wrestling. No, so here's the thing. I grew up watching WWE around 2009. July 2009, I believe, was when I started watching it. I hope I'm not being too loud. I hope I'm not yelling. I'm a loud person. But I went back and watched it on Netflix, and I'm not a big fan of WWE from that time. I prefer wrestling from let's say 2004 to the early early 2000s, and then the 90s and 80s and 60s 70s wrestling. I think that was when wrestling really popped. And I think wrestling, I'm not a big fan of the current wrestling. There's barely any people. You have people like Ricochet doing his stupid cringy little laugh, and he's a charisma vacuum. You have a bunch of people in wrestling who shouldn't be in wrestling. I mean, here's the thing. Ricochet, he's not a bad wrestler. He's a good flippy floppy guy. Like he's not good on the mic. No, Chris Benoit wasn't good on the mic, and he was an excellent technical wrestler. But I love the old stuff. I can't stand the newer stuff.
Now we go on to the next question by also J Kid is what alcoholic beverage have you tried?
I've tried strawberry wine. I've tried vodka. This is back when I was very young, though. It was accidental. When I was a little kid, my mom used to have these 7-Eleven cups with rum and coke in them, and I would run around and I would take a sip, and I had no idea there was rum in it. So yeah, I've had my fair share, but I don't drink alcohol because to me, like alcohol can be enjoyed, but to me, it can be enjoyed in regulation, but to me, it's just too expensive, and it's not worth getting into that kind of habit. Like smoking or like smoking cigarettes or consuming pot. It's an expensive habit to get into. And I'm taking pills for my mental health, and I don't really enjoy taking pills, but I got to.
Now we got VIP. I think that's him. He said, what do you think of JTV star VIP?
I'm happy that he's a face though. I can tell that like VIP, he's really over with the crowd now. I know when he was a heel, he was kind of in a tough place, but he's over as fuck right now, in my opinion. I love VIP. I've actually trained against that guy, and he is a real world champion, a real hardcore champion. I wouldn't mind defending my hardcore title against him one day if that's in the plans in the future. But I love VIP. That guy, he's just a sweet guy. I like VIP. He's one of the boys.
Now, Ricky Armstrong, I got to interview him on episode 10. He's in the chat, and he asked, and I'm going to put these two questions into the context. Will Colin face Ricky Armstrong, but will Colin put his title on the line against Ricky Armstrong for the JTV Hardcore title? Or is he talking about the TNA Undisputed Hardcore title? We don't know.
Either one, I'm down, even if it involves me getting squashed. But I'm more than happy to defend the title against anyone. Because, it's a hardcore. I'll defend it against anyone. I'll even defend it against a potted plant. If it's like, if you ever heard of the Iron Heavy Metalweight Championship, I think they did a DDT Pro. That title has been held by a plant. I think it's been held by a crowd. It's been held by a bus. But sorry for going off topic here. But Ricky Armstrong, I'd like to have a match against him. I wouldn't mind defending the title if that's in the cards.
Now, J Kid asked, when wrestlers from the 70s and 80s that you used to like?
Bruno Sammartino, Terry Funk. You have Harley Race, NWO Harley Race. I wasn't a big fan of Harley Race when he was King Harley. I like the NWO Harley Race. Haku is another one. I fucking love Haku. That guy's a genuine badass. Andre the Giant is another one. I loved Jake Roberts. I'm sad that Jake Roberts, I know that he was on Beyond the Mat, and they had it where he was, I think, getting a call from his drug dealer, but I heard that he's clean now. I want to say DDP, but I know DDP's not from the 80s. He's from the 90s. I loved I'm trying to think. Randy Savage, I believe he was from the 80s. I love Macho Man Randy Savage. I like to watch his promos a lot because that guy's an inspiration.
Now we got VIP. He asked, who's your favorite superhero and your favorite Power Ranger?
Now, here's the funny thing about that. I think Jason David Frank, the Green Ranger, God rest his soul. I think he's a good. He was a great Ranger. I've never really got into Power Rangers like that growing up. My mom tried to get me into it, but she tried to get me into Ninja Turtles, Power Rangers. But I want to say my favorite superhero would probably, you have Batman, Superman, Spider-Man, Iron Man, Captain America. I want to say Deadpool, but he's not really a hero. Guardians of the Galaxy, Thor. But out of all of them, I want to say Godzilla, because back in the 70s, he was actually seen as a superhero. And if you never read this, they did a crossover comic book with Godzilla and the Power Rangers.
Mark Banham just now put this in. Who's your favorite opponent? Mark, are you asked in JTV, TNA? You got to be specific.
I've had good matches with Mark. I've had good matches with Corey. I think Corey Flash has got to be my favorite opponent. Because there's tons of history there. I defended the hardcore title against him one time, and he beat the crap out of me. We fought on, what was it? Shendon did this. It was inspired by Def Jam Fight for New York. Ragnarok, that's what it was called. It was called Ragnarok, and I fought Corey in that match. I was rusty as hell because we played on 19, and I haven't played that game in a coon's age.
Jake had also asked favorite films, but also Mark went back with that question. He said both JTV and TNA.
I don't think I found a favorite opponent in TNA yet. I'm still very new to the product. As for favorite films, I like Scarface. I haven't seen The Godfather yet. I haven't seen Goodfellas yet, and I've been told to see them. I thought Heat was another great film. But my favorite films would have to be the Heisei Godzilla series from 84 to 95. I thought those films were excellent and they had a great story, great monsters. And of course I enjoy Spider-Man. I enjoy Dark Knight. I've never seen Batman Begins or Dark Knight Rises, but I've seen The Dark Knight and that's one of my favorite. I never get tired of seeing that. I enjoy the Christopher Reeve Superman, and I enjoy the Michael Keaton Superman. Or I mean Michael Keaton Batman. Sorry, my mistake.
And then VIP asked,
Yeah.
AJ Lee or Liv Morgan, if you had to pick between the two.
Man, don't make me choose. 'Cause here's the thing. I like Latinas. I'm attracted to Latinas. I have to say AJ Lee.
Mark asked, favorite attires from JTV or TNA?
That's a good one. I have to say the Scott Hall tribute for Rage in the Cage 2022. I thought that was probably one of my best attires I ever made. I've had a lot of attires, but that one sticks out as one of my favorites. That's probably my all-time favorite.
You guys got any more questions? Please put them in the chat.
Questions, guys.
I got a question right here, and this is by me. Could you beat legendary Ricky Armstrong?
I haven't seen him wrestle, but I could see. Maybe we'll have to see. Do you mean like in PvP or AI versus AI?
Both.
Maybe I haven't. I'll have to spar with him one day and see. Maybe not.
Okay, we got some more questions. J Kid asked, have you driven a car?
No, I don't trust myself behind the wheel of a car. One day I would like to get one of those scooters, those mopeds.
Then Mark asked, favorite flavor of cheese?
Oof. Anything that's not blue cheese.
Then Kevin Impact asks, have you held a lizard?
No, I always wanted to get a lizard though as a pet. I wanted to when I was a kid. I wanted to get myself one of those monitor lizards, those real big lizards. But and I remember when I worked at Petland back when I was younger, they had this frilled lizard that you could have as a pet, and that thing was like over $100.
Then J Kid asked, have you ever witnessed a car crash?
Yeah, I was in one. It wasn't that bad. My grandfather, I went to go see a therapist, and this was probably around 2011, 2012. Yeah, I want to say maybe around 2011. And my grandfather, he was backing out of the parking lot, and he accidentally hit another car.
Now we got the JTV World Champion, and he wants to ask you, which is Shandon, what do you think of
Yeah.
2K26 needs to possibly be the best wrestling game?
Excellent question. I want a better backstage area. I want like a better parking lot. I want where you can wrestle on the outside of the arena, you can wrestle in the stands, you can wrestle in the concession area, you can wrestle in the locker rooms in the boss's office. I want like a really, really, really big backstage area. If you guys remember in some of the older wrestling games, they had it where if you put a headlock on a wrestler, the referee would raise his hand, and if he up to 3, he would stop the match. I think they need to bring that back. Cameramen is another one they need to put in there because those UFC games, they have cameramen. Better hair physics. Like, if you're wrestling, the more you wrestle, the messier your hair gets. Create a. This one might be a bit negative. Maybe create a finisher. I would love for them to bring back create a finisher and create a story. But for create a finisher, they need to have where you need to have, if they were going to bring back create a finisher, they need to have it where you have to put in like a major reversal. Yeah, that was SVR 2006. Thanks, Mark. There's a bunch of mechanics that they could put in there. I was actually, this might be off topic, but I'm in the virtual basement Discord for the wrestling code, and I've given a couple years back. I gave my ideas of what I want for the game, what matches I want, and a lot of people seem to agree with it. What I really would like is where you could build a match. Like you could choose whether wrestlers they circle around the ring, then they do a headlock, and then you could select like a suplex or whatever you like. Like build a cinematic match, build a cinematic show. If you could do that in a video game and you have all those things and you make it easier for call creators, and that would be the greatest wrestling game of all time. And I know that sounds very ambitious, but that's what I want in a wrestling game. I want a wrestling game that gives you absolute freedom to do whatever the hell you want. No restrictions. The sky's the limit.
Now we go back to J Kid's question, and he asked, who is the most toxic, evil person in Call?
I don't want to start drama, but this was when I was in. There's a lot. There's people that I've met. You might know some of them, and some of your friends might know some of them. I was in this league called RWO, and that was the first league I was in. I was green as fucking grass. So I debuted around the time when 2K18 came out. So this was October 2017. And I didn't join. I joined, I think, around March. So I was in RWO for about a month, just a little over a month. And the way that place was ran, people were stabbing each other in the back. There was a civil war going on, and I left. And I tried to make another league with my partner, with my friend of mine that I made there. And one of the guys in RWO, he kept coming in over, taking over his stuff, and he said, "Whatever you guys make, I own." So I said, "You know what? I'm not doing business. I'm out." I almost retired. After that, I came to JTV. I got a trial match, and I figured, well, if I don't get signed by JTV, I'm probably just gonna leave and just not do call anymore. but I don't want people coming after me. I don't want to mention names because that's what fucking causes drama.
Also, Kevin Impact had another question. Do you like dogs?
Yeah, I like dogs. I grew up with dogs.
Okay, he's giving you a choice between turkey or chicken. Another question also by Kevin Impact.
I like both. If I have a sandwich, I put chicken and turkey on it. I try to put lettuce, tomato, onion, cheese, pickles if I have pickles. I like to make myself one of those lumberjack subs with the French bread. Oh my god. I can make you a better sandwich than Subway, and it's actually healthier too.
Another question. This is by VIP. Favorite color and favorite kind of steak?
Now that's another good question. I'm not a real big fan of steak, but I remember about maybe 4 years ago, I went to Walmart, I think around East Hills or something. I went to Walmart and I bought myself these Alberta steaks. They were fucking small, really small steaks, but they were good. And I watched Invader Zim. I think this was, when was this? Maybe August 2019 or something. This was when the Invader Zim movie came out.
Also, of a VIP, he has favorite match of Bailey being in that you say is your favorite of hers.
Asuka. Her and Asuka. I'm a big fan of Bailey. I loved her match. Any match that she had with Asuka, I was always a fan of. She had pretty good. I wasn't a big fan of her match with Bianca Belair, to be honest, but I thought her matches with Asuka were really good.
Now, another question by VIP.
Yeah,
He's asking Dr. Pepper or Coke for as a drink goes.
Dr. Pepper. I don't like Coke. I love Dr. Pepper. Though
Now,
one day I would, sorry to interrupt you, one day I would like to quit drinking pop because I have an off again, on again relationship with pop.
now we got a question by DJ Chaotic here. He said, what do you think would be the best solution for the call community to unite as a whole, and what would be your best advice to the upcoming future of call? That's a good question.
God, just be honest, don't lie, please don't be fake. You know, don't be afraid to say your opinion. If you think something doesn't work, then just ask, because unfortunately, there's a lot of people in CW that can't take criticism. They can't take constructive criticism. They think you're judging you and they'll want to quit. And that's not what we want. We just want you to deliver a better product. But I'm not much for an advice giver. But if
J-Kid's got another question. If you finish with that question, I don't want to move to the next one.
Yeah, I'm finished with it.
All right, then we got another question. There's 3 questions that J-Kid asked, and it's all in a row. First question is, what is your relationship with Jackson Draven today?
He checks on me every now and then. I know Jay doesn't really like him that much. And if I can be honest, Jackson doesn't really like Jay back. He didn't like JTV, but he doesn't care if I'm in it, but he said I wasn't a big fan of JTV, and that's just a little bit of beef between them. But, if you guys have issues, then I wish they didn't have issues. But, he checks in on me every once in a while. I don't talk to him as much, if I can be honest. I chill in a party with him every once in a while just to let him know how I'm doing. He actually gave me his phone number.
Another question by J Kid, if you're finished answering that one, is have you had fish sandwiches?
Yeah. Or actually, no. I haven't had. I had fish and chips. I would love to. I would like to learn how to cook salmon. I've had salmon, but I wasn't a big. It was the canned salmon with the little bones, and I don't really like eating things with bones in it.
Next thing is, what did you eat in school that you liked? Also, another question by J Kid.
Ooh. So we used to order pizza. When I was in Holy Cross, we used to order every Friday. They would order. There was a pizza place right across the street from Holy Cross, and they would order a bunch of pizza. You could get two slices for a toonie, which was $2. It's a coin. And when I was in high school, they had these chicken strips that they would serve on toasted hot dog buns, and those were pretty good.
We got another question, but it's not by J Kid, it's by the JTV World Champion Shinden. He said, what is the time for Colin Klein's retirement from Call? Will he still be part of Call as a GM or content creator, etc.?
I haven't decided. There's been times where I really wanted to. There's been times where I wanted to retire, and then things come up, and I'm like, well, if they still need me around, I'll be around. But I think the time I'll ever retire is if, let's say, 2K they decide to make it where if you want to do an online match, you have to pay for it. Because I'm not paying for no damn online match. As for a content creator, um, I really want to make a show centered around old school wrestlers like New Jack and Paul Orndorff and all those guys. Um, I was gonna make my own show with my own characters, but I kind of figured I don't know how well that's gonna work. I might still do that. I wanted to do that on the Wrestling Code, but if this is just saying if Wrestling Code doesn't come out, if I want to, because I've been telling myself if Wrestling Code doesn't come out by 2027, I'm probably gonna retire. But I know that's not gonna happen as long as 2K still keeps on pumping out those trash ass games. I'll still, as long as you guys need me around, I'll still be around.
Now we got a question by VIP. If you're done answering Shandon's.
Yep.
Who do you think will win between AJ Styles or Shawn Michaels?
Shawn.
Then we got another question from Mark. Sasha Banks versus Bayley Iron Man women's match from TakeOver Brooklyn. What are your thoughts about that? So you guys got any more questions? Put it down in there for Colin.
Yeah, I'm still here. I'm just waiting for questions.
So far, I
Any
don't see
questions, guys?
So far, I don't see any more questions. All right, Shendon just now popped one up. Any dream matches that you would see in Colin? This is from the JTV World Heavyweight Champion, Shendon.
Shendon versus Black Heron. Damn it, that's been a dream match of mine for a very long time. I don't know if Black Heron is still wrestling. I heard he retired or something, or I could be wrong about that. I'm not. I'm not a reliable narrator, so if I say things wrong, my mistake. I usually get things wrong. I'm not that much of a reliable narrator, if I'm going to be honest with you.
All right. If you're done with that, let me know as far as the answer, because we got another one. Okay, J Kid asked, is Colin excited about Mondo Mania Night 2 tonight, which is at 8 p.m. tonight, guys?
Mondo Mania Part 2, Night 2, brother. You better watch it, or Colin Mania is going to run wild on you. Sorry about that. Yes, I'm excited.
Colin defends that undisputed.
I'm very excited. Who's not going to be excited?
You guys get to see a dream match tonight. Colin Klein will defend his hardcore title tonight against Chris Danger. Big time matchup at Mondo Mania.
Ooh. Chris Danger. But you also got to remember, Jay's, or I'm sorry, not Jay, Kevin. Why do I keep calling him that? Kevin is getting inducted tonight.
Yep. We got many more surprises too. I've been informed that some more JTV stars is going to pop in. I don't know if the rumors are true. Ooh. I definitely know Nick Cayenne said he'd be here tonight. I don't know what Nick's up to. You know, Nick. You know that.
You never know, man. Nick, good to Nick.
This trend here on this Nitro is Dead podcast. What exactly do you call Nick? I want you to put it in the comments below so I can share it on the Nitro is Dead podcast. I got to make this a trend.
Nick Kaikuni.
Right here, ladies and gentlemen, Nick Kaikuni. That is a worldwide trend by Shendon. World famous. Not like KFC finger looking good. None of that shit. But we get back to Shendon's question. CJ Mondo versus Colin Klein.
Yeah. We can have a good match. We've sparred a couple times. You actually tapped me out once, I think.
Shendon said, I don't apologize for it.
Oh, no. That shit is viral.
Here's the question I'm going to ask. If I decided to book this match between him and Kevin Impact, maybe at one of the pay-per-views at TNA, what would Shendon do if he gets his dream match, Kevin Impact versus Shendon, at one of the pay-per-views?
Oh, he's going to low blow him. He's going to low blow the crap out of him. I can tell you that much. The first match they had was very good, though. I mean, you never know. Kevin might come out of retirement. Maybe, maybe not. As for right now, I can't see it. But maybe in the future. I mean, you never know.
I'd like to know what Colin thinks about Mark Bannum as far as a JTV wrestler.
I don't like that he gets mad. I wish he wouldn't get mad. And like, I love you, Mark, and I'm saying this because I care about you, but when you lose a match and you say that you win, that drives me nuts. And I've done and said things that have driven you nuts too in the past. I'm just saying that because I love you, man, and I care about you, but when you act like a sore loser, it drives me nuts. I don't know if it's him acting as a heel, but you gotta check that. That's just my honest opinion. But he's a great brother. He's a great mentor. He's helped me a lot in my career. Any other questions?
You guys got a lot of questions so far during this. My question to Colin, I don't know if he watched Mondo Mania Night 1, but here's my question. What do you think about Mondo Mania Night 1 that you guys saw? Not only this is for Colin, but the chat also, so you all can answer this. That you got to solve for Mondo Mania Night 1 that happened last night. So Mark just said this. He said, Colin, you got to understand, I get that anger from my dad. I can't help it. And retort to Colin's answer. So what do you think about that, what Mark said to reply back to your answer, Colin? So J-Kid asked this. I want to actually put this first because I will answer Shandon's question. He said, I'm thinking it's up or us. Pretty sure it's up. Something bothering you right now, Colin. And that is by J-Kid. Could be his mic. I don't know. But this is by J-Kid. to go back and answer Shendon's question, what's next after Mondo Mania? Pretty simple. We are going to be... Our next pay-per-view, we're definitely tributing ECW. I felt like that, it's time to bring back the hardcore side of things and bring back something that is going to be not only legendary, but also going to be something that I personally think, as an ECW fan, that we definitely need one more night of Extreme for, not only TNA, but so these stars that's on my roster can see and experience what ECW was about, to answer Shendon's question. And I think Colin left. And he should be back on. So let me add Colin back. So Jake had asked you something before you left, Colin. He said,
"Sorry about that.
What's up? Something bothering you right now, Colin?"
I'm in a bit of financial debt because I went to a college and they wanted me to pay $1,200 in order to graduate, and I said I couldn't afford it, so they kicked me out. So I'm trying to pay off my student loans. That I've been stressed about that for a few months now. And even here's the thing: I'm a guy who thinks about things too much. I always overthink. I always stress out about, like, whenever I go to the doctor and I get my blood pressure done and they say it's normal, I always think they're lying because I don't think my blood pressure is normal. I'm always stressed out all the time. Like, my hands are shaking constantly. My body's in defense mode. And I would have trouble sleeping. I haven't had trouble sleeping. I'm on some new medication. Like, here's the thing. Whenever it's the daytime, I'm always stressed out. But when it's the nighttime and I'm about to go to sleep, my worries just wash away.
Now we go back to the next question. And this is by DJ Chaotic. Because I'll get to J-Kid's question after that. If you had a dream match, call an opponent, who would it be? Who would you want as your opponent, basically?
Oof. I wouldn't mind having a match with Andy Badwool. DJ Chaotic, I'd like to have a match with him. I remember he said that he wanted to be like a mentor for me. I'm always looking for a mentor. I had Mark Bannon as a mentor. I had Kevin Impact as a mentor. I'm always looking for people to help me improve.
Now, the question is, tonight when you face Chris Danger for the hardcore title on Titan Nation Alliance, I mean, how are you feeling knowing that you're in the ring with the biggest star that's ever hit TNA's roster is Chris Danger? And where are you thinking logically that you got to do to make sure you retain that title?
I don't think Chris Danger's ever been in a hardcore match. I mean, I'm going to be honest with you. I've never seen any of his matches. I know that he wrestles here and there. BDE is another guy who wrestles too. But when it comes to YouTubers becoming pro wrestlers, I'm not a big fan of that because, I mean, you'll never be as good as actual. I mean, I'm glad that they actually had the balls to step in the ring and take a few bumps. But you got to do more than that. You actually got to pay your dues. I've never once seen a Chris Danger match, but I think I got this one in the bag.
Now going back to J Kid Gaming, he said, "Do you foo-foo?"
Who's Fufu? Seriously, who's Fufu?
In other words, that's what I called Ron Storm. Kind of like, this is a story I'm going to tell you guys. So this is actually funny. So me and Ron was doing a segment. Okay. This was back, when we was in that company that we no longer mention. So I decided to pull a edge to his Kurt Angle. In other words, you suck chance became first taco tits. And then I switched it to little foo-foo. And Ron was telling me in the chat, he's like, CJ, I don't want this as a freaking trend. Well, looks like you got the LaFufu, and as me holding the signs up, giving you pictures of, your matches, I'm signing on the back of it, Big LaFufu champion.
That's a funny story.
That's how the LaFufu came into play.
Okay, well, thanks for summing that up, because that had me confused for a second.
So we're going to go on to our next question. And it would be Mark. As Mark says, CJ and Colin, what moves in 2K26 do you want to see reanimated?
Well, not really reanimated. Reanimated. I used to have this move called the sit-up pump handle slam, and it's where I grab the guy's hand, I do a baseball slide, and then I give him like a sit-up pump handle slam. They got rid of it back in, I think, 2K22. I would like for them to add in a new Shining Wizard, like a standing Shining Wizard, what Gregory Helms had in I think SVR 08. 07 or 08, if you guys know what I'm talking about. I would like for them to put in a new Shining Wizard, because I used to have the last shot as a finisher, but the reason I got rid of it is because it was easy to reverse and it looked like a Claymore kick, so people kept saying, oh, he got him with the kick. And I'd be like, it's not a kick, it's a knee strike. It's a Shining Wizard knee strike. I gotta let my cat out.
So going back to one of your questions that I asked you about Mark earlier, Mark responded, he says, Colin, you got to understand that I get anger from my dad and can't help that, and retort to Colin's answer. So what do you think about that?
Yeah, my whole family has anger. I understand where he's coming from, because my whole family has anger issues. Almost everyone in my family is on medication for health and mental issues. So I know exactly where he's coming from.
Going back to the question that you answered, that he answered me too. I'm going to answer that real quick. What moves I want to see reanimated? Well, you guys got to know this. When CJ Mondo became the big name and became the guy, he was also a lunatic, kind of like a Dean Ambrose. So I definitely want to see the Shield Powerbomb that you done through the announcer's table return, because that was my move. I called that the Chaos Bomb. So I got, me and my tag team partners, which two of them don't really do e-fetting no more. I'm just the only guy that pretty much does it. We used to use that as our finishers, and we caused chaos wherever we went. It was pretty much like the Shield. So I want to see the Shield Powerbomb definitely be added to this year's game. And then J Kid asked,
that would be nice.
Where and how did both of you meet or come in contact? Are you talking about me and Ryan Storm, me and Colin?
Yeah, that's gotta be more specific.
Yeah, because I can't give you an answer if I don't know the full details. But when he answers back to that, me and Colin, I'll let Colin go first, and then I'll answer it after that.
Well, I mean, if you want to go first, I'm happy with you going first because my memory kind of sucks. I think we talked to each other on Facebook.
I think like we both met in MPW
Yeah,
because pretty much Ray brought me in, and I think this is the time that me and a certain company fell out because of not really issues I had with them, but issues they had with me because I told the truth, and they still don't like the truth. So I got added to the MPW chat, and then met Colin. Me and Colin, talked. I think it was on Discord, and we met other places. PWA had a match with him. I mean, heck, we tore the house down in that one match that Colin suplexed me through the barricade and broke the barricade. Still won't forget that. But there's two different places right there that I got to meet Colin and come in contact with him before I joined JTV. Now, the MPW part, I'm gonna give you the reason why I left. I just feel like that. I don't really hate, but I just felt like that it was my time to go. Like, after what they did when I cut that good promo and they just basically skipped over like it was nothing, that kind of felt like disrespect to me. And, CJ Mondo over the years, I don't know if you guys listened to the Ricky podcast that I done before I brought Colin in, but, I had a match with Ricky Armstrong for the HKW Chaos Championship. That match was legendary. I will never forget stepping in the ring with the legend. He brought my career to its full potential. And, being in the ring with Ricky, I know Ricky's a tough MMA combatant. I mean, you pretty much have to know MMA to beat him. If you don't know MMA, then you're not going to make it. He's kind of like a Brock Lesnar of the call community. But pretty much how I met Colton was in those companies, and that was a good thing about me and Colin. I'm not saying it was a bad, but the bad thing is I should have never been in those companies. That's just me, but I'll let Colin answer on his side on that issue, on that question by J Kid.
I agree with you there. Now, just for the record, man, like I said, I'm not a reliable narrator, and my memory is really, really somewhat It's selective. Some things I'll remember for a lifetime, other things I won't really remember quite as well. I'm not quite sure why, but he basically hit the nail on the head. He hit the nail on the head. Yeah.
Then we got another question. If we both answered J Kids, because I'm going to go down to another question here.
Yeah.
It is by VIP. Who would you like to face at Showdown in JTV?
Oof. I'm trying to think. There's some people I would like to fight. John Skinner. I'd like to fight Marcus Holloway. Mark Bennett is another one. I guess those are my top three. Because John Skinner and Marcus, they've been wanting to challenge me for the Hardcore Championship for the longest time. Marcus even went as far as going on my post, and he said, Colin, give me a title shot. Give me a title shot, Colin. Where's my title shot, Colin? Colin, I want my title shot. So I'd like to give him his title shot. But Showdown's not going to be... I mean, we'll see what happens.
I like to know a question I'm going to ask here is, what do you guys think of BKS in JTV?
They take their freaking disease. They need to be stopped. You know, I mean, they're getting members left and right. I wouldn't be surprised if Amber Rocks is the next one to join. You have all these stables. You have the Skull Brotherhood. You have Three-Way Deadlock. You have the Seal family. You have the Freak Show, which I'm a part of.
Now we got a question by Mark. He says, Colin Klein versus Mark Banham, I guess a third match anytime soon.
Yeah, I'm down. I'm down to have a match with him maybe at Showdown next year. Or I guess I shouldn't say this next year. Who knows when it's going to be? We're getting there. We're trying to get there.
Now, I know on this episode it's going to get real as it gets, but I'm going to also share something with you guys on this episode that I want you to get your intake, and also Colin's. As you could tell, 8 p.m. tonight, Mondo Mania 2. So I want to know what Colin thinks about Kevin Impact finally get his Hall of Fame introduction.
About time.
Into the Kyle Hall of Fame, and definitely want to know your thoughts on that also, Colin.
About time. I've been waiting for him to get put in the Hall of Fame. If I ever did a wrestling company, I would have Kevin as the first inductee.
I mean, it's going to be interesting to see tonight, you know, not only Kevin Impact, but you got Ricky Armstrong. I mean, Ricky's been, you know, a part of my career, as well as Kevin Impact's been a part of yours. I mean, heck, you know, me and Ricky was talking about it on episode 10 that, you know, in HKW between me and him when we had that match with the Chaos title, I mean, heck, you know, it's like, you know, he couldn't put me down, and it, you know, he's like, oh, what I got to do to put this sumbitch down, you know? And, you know, Mondo is the type of person, if you ever step in the ring with CJ Mondo, you guys will find out that in hardcore matches, you can never kill a violent tick.
Nah.
I'm pretty much the heart and soul of the hardcore division. But also, we talk about Mondo Mania. Let's talk about the views that's coming up. This is from Night 1, guys. 101 view. And this was like probably 4 or 5 hours ago before I even done the episode 10 with Ricky. So this is something that's huge in the company. And I say tonight it's going to be the same thing for tonight. But going back to Colin here, any dream match that you have in Titan Nation Alliance or even in JTV, what would be your dream match of any star you want to face, you know, being a part of
King
show that is like PLE wise, premium live event wise?
I'd like to have a match with King Dominator. I've never fought him before.
That would actually be a good match. I'm not going to lie.
What other questions you guys got? Put them in the comments.
Also, J Kid said, thanks for love. I appreciate. Shout out to Ricky. He's been in call for years. Yeah, Ricky's been going through some stuff also, guys, that I will say here that's people, is attacking him for standing up for the, positivity and standing up for what's right. And, I agree with Kevin Impact on this. Shout out to Ricky. He deserves his time too, because Ricky's, without Ricky, there wouldn't be a CJ Mondo, guys. And, that's the truth. Ricky was the one that elevated my career up to new heights. So that's something that you guys can take notes on. But going back to the list, Shandon, congratulating. I'll thank you for that. And then, Nick, of course, did win the Money in the Bank last night. Shocking. Didn't know this dude was absolutely going to win. So, Colin, as you as a hardcore champion, you don't have to worry about it. But what was your intake on, was it shocking that Nick won that Money in the Bank? Or I'd like to know your thoughts about that.
I wasn't expecting that. You had Ragnar. Ragnar was in it too. I thought Ragnar was going to win. I like Ragnar and Ragnarsson.
That would be the Vikings of Destruction. And
no,
I got
the Vikings of Destruction, yeah.
I got to sit down with the owner behind them calls. He said that the war of not one's not over. So King Dominator and Combat Genius got to be prepared, because you got mad Vikings coming for you.
Yeah.
All right, here's a good one. Shandon actually had a question. Who would win a match between Nick versus Colin?
We'll have to find out. I mean, we're both in TNA, aren't we? I mean, Maybe he could put his briefcase on the line. But how about we do that, man? We'll do title versus briefcase.
Ooh, the shots by Nick. Hold up. Let me show you guys what exactly Nick said. Nick's making the shots on the Nitro is dead, and he's not even a part of the podcast. Colin, what do you think about that comment? I want to know Colin's intake on that.
He's shooting shots, and I hope he doesn't miss.
Looks like we got a confrontation in the chat between Nick and Shandon. I wonder what this is going to lead to.
Shandon versus Nick.
Now, Mark said he faced Ragnar in the IWA. He's a fucking monster. He'll been on Destruction. You got that right. I've been in some matches with Ragnar.
Oh, yeah.
He's tough. I mean, I've been in ring, with bigger man myself. That's one big man that stay clear of, not unless you can defeat him. That's one man that will mess you up. So any more questions here, guys, for Colin?
I got to go make dinner soon.
We try to make it 15 more minutes, about 6:30, that we close the podcast. So you guys got about 16 minutes to ask Colin some stuff.
Damn, son.
Shandon said he's looking forward to tonight's show. I don't know what's going to happen tonight. I'm kind of curious myself. You know, we had, speaking about that, before I answer that question, we're going to go to J Kids here. He says, what does the world need right now, Colin?
Does he really want to know that? You really want to know what the answer to that is? All right, I'll tell you. Cheese. It needs more cheese. And hugs. Sorry, I love cheese. I don't know where that came from. But what does the world need more right now, man? It needs cheese.
Then Mark just asked, what would you do to make Call better again, Colin?
Whew. What would I do to make Call better again? I don't know. You know, different people operate different ways. That's an excellent question. You know, I thought of, if I could be honest, I thought about running a promotion like with actual people. But it's just, I have a hard time trusting people. I've heard around grapevine about which people were snakes and which people you shouldn't trust, which people were predators. Ooh, that's a good question. You want to put what Jay said? Or Kevin? Yeah, Jay Kid Gaming?
So we're going to go to that question next. And he said, what would be the best and worst thing to call? And that is a good question. I will agree with Colin on that.
The manipulators. Well, that's one of them, actually. You got manipulators, you got pedophiles. And unfortunately, I've known a few. I remember when I was in ROH, and this was, not ROH, ROW, sorry. I was in ROW and, or RWO, fuck, I can't remember. And as soon as I left, there was one guy, he said that his name was Charles Bell. I'm going to say that name because it gets it out there to not trust him. I heard rumors that he bragged about having a 14-year-old girlfriend. Another thing I don't like about Caw is people making up like wives and girlfriends and stuff, and they have like a little Caw family. To me, that's just weird. I remember going on Twitter, and there was one guy, he had like 6 wives. And then there was another guy, he was screwing his sister. I'm not joking. He was in a Caw relationship with his sister. And I think to myself, if you think that's going to make people want to, well, maybe people will book him. I don't know. People are fucking weird. This is me being dead honest. But to me, that kind of shit is cringe.
So here's another good question about J Kid. He said, why do you both of you think people try to protect pedophiles and Call?
Fuck if I know. Look at Roblox, right? Let's take Roblox, for example. Pedophiles, they support that game. Why do you think it hasn't been shut down? It's being sued. You know, and I actually have a young cousin who plays Roblox, and I'm not comfortable with him playing that game. Because there's I can't remember what it's called, but there's a few games on there where predators go to hunt for children, and the director of security, he's actually played a few games on that, and I've seen a picture of the guy. He looks like the freaking police sketch of a child molester.
Well, personally, I think the reason why they try to protect people as pedophiles in call is one, they have this, mental illness that first of all, I'm going to say this: common sense people would not be going after a child, especially a grown man in his 30s, 40s, 50s, especially up in that age. Personally, I think the people that protects them are what we call guilty by association, which means
Yes.
even though that you don't do it, you're still
It,
allowing
it
it.
it doesn't matter. It makes, sorry to interrupt you. It makes you just as bad. You're guilty by association. It makes you just as bad. You're a fucking supporter, and that's not okay.
So since me and Colin answered that question, I'm gonna go back to my question. What do you think about people who text other people's ideals and call?
Yeah, I remember playing. I remember playing a Matt Dickey game. If you guys know Matt Dickey, he makes those independent wrestling games. You can like wrestle on 6 different brands. One of them's an MMA, and sometimes you'll get called into the booker's office, and he'll be like, "Hey, there's this character in this other promotion, and we think you could do it better. And if you have creative control in your contract, you can decline it." And he'll say, "Well, it's not about who had the idea first; it's who had the idea best." And look at Ric Flair. Uh, I think Buddy Rogers was the first Nature Boy, and Ric Flair took that. And then you look at people like Superstar Billy Graham, Jesse Ventura, and Hulk Hogan. They took his character, but they did a better job with it. And when it comes to unoriginality and call, it's everywhere you see. Yeah, and I'm guilty of this. I used to have a demon gimmick, and then I saw how unoriginal that was, and I quit doing it. But you have a lot of people, they do demon gimmicks, they do like wolf gimmicks, they do clown gimmicks, and it's annoying. I'm probably one of, I try to be original with my gimmick. The whole win or die thing, I got that from a PlayStation avatar.
First of all, I'm gonna shout out to Mark. He's now the Kurt Angle. He's in a men's world, but he likes boys.
Yep. I love kids, but not like that. Chill out, Mark.
We got 7 minutes, guys. You guys got a lot of questions to ask. We might bring Colin back for a future episode, and who knows, we may have more JTV stars lined up.
I don't know, Mark. You've been acting very sussy lately.
To reply to J Kid's thing, if we're gonna be canceled, we got to be like the rest of them, be pedophiles, and then we can get canceled.
Mm.
Oh, sorry, I can't say that. I'm gonna get canceled.
Mm-mm-mm.
So, JTV World Heavyweight Champion Shandon asks, who would you team up to go for tag team titles, a dream partner?
That's a good one. Oof. I have to say John Skinner. I would like to have John Skinner as a tag partner. Mark's another one, but I think I would gel well with John, or maybe even Keith Ocean if Keith Ocean were to come back, if he ever decides to come back.
Also, we got Kevin Impact here. He asked a question. What if Kevin Impact had creative control over WWE and AEW? What do you guys think I would do? I could personally answer that, but I'll let Colin answer, and then I'll answer that one.
I don't think. Now, here's the thing. I think he'd do a good job at running AEW and WWE, but it's just that the fans wouldn't care. Because, like, let's say if he said, okay, because I know he's not a real big fan of Seth Rollins, so Seth Rollins he probably would get rid of or he wouldn't book, and that would piss a lot of people off, and a lot of people would want him to be kicked out. That's my answer on that.
I personally think that if Kevin Impact had creative control over WWE and AEW, we wouldn't see this PG soft air wrestling that we've seen. He'd bring back stars that actually mean something.
Yeah.
Like Raven. Maybe he's not at a GM position, but I'm pretty sure that he would put him somewhere that, Raven would make sure that, WWE or wherever Kevin Impact is, would elevate the company even higher. Also, Shane Douglas. Shane Douglas is still in the business. If Kevin Impact was over, let's say WWE, I would have, I'm pretty sure that Impact will put Shane Douglas in an office somewhere, maybe doing like a GM or a commissioner role and make sure everything's down to where it needs to be. And I think Kevin Impact also would pretty much get rid of Triple H over creative. That is something I think also that would be what Kevin Impact does because, don't get me wrong, I used to be a Triple H fan, but seeing him now, what he's doing to WWE, as a fan, it really hurts because, me watching WCW, then the Golden Era, then you had the Attitude Era, then you had the Ruthless Aggression Era. Those moments in wrestling is what made WWE what it was. Triple H, I don't really see him being creative. I mean, even though he's brought in these newer guys, but Seth Rollins already had his chance. Roman's already had his chance. Why would you get them back in the title match? That don't make any sense to me.
Exactly.
And, you got a lot of newer stars that's, coming into a company that I personally think, LA Knight, he would be a great WWE champion if, Triple H gave him that push. AJ Styles, if, Triple H didn't retire him, I think, one more title run for AJ would pretty much elevate WWE what it is. See if you could talk to Abyss, bring the monster Abyss. I loved watching Abyss when I was in TNA. I remember Abyss, you used to have the thumbtacks where you just like pour the thumbtacks in the ring, black hole slam somebody, and pretty much is, when you look at that after the, Abyss black hole slam somebody, you see literally their back like implemented with thumbtacks. And personally, here's another thing I would think too. Now we talk about TNA wrestlers. I think Tessa Blanchard, that would be a good in the women's division. I think that Kevin Impact would bring her over. Also her dad. And, before I get into that, I want to talk about a WWE champion that I definitely want to see happen. Now, there was a man that I personally think, and I'm not talking about Sami Zayn, I really don't think Sami is fit for a WWE champion. He's a good intercontinental, but Sami's, I love Sami in one way, Sami Zayn in one way, but, going back to the guys, like Abyss, AJ, LA Knight, You could bring back the legendary tag team beer money. I personally think that would make your tag team division stand out if we had James Storm and Robert Roode. Far as that goes, I mean, you could bring the Dudley Boys maybe for a one-night appearance, but, they are up in age. You got Shane Douglas, which is up in his age. Personally, I think if, WWE was going to do a WWE champion that would stand out in today's era, there's not many people I'd put the title on against. And the reason why I say this is because that, when you look at the WWE title, it should be about prestige, not just politics and, whoever's got the most popularity, we're going to put the belt on kind of bullshit. I think that, for example, Logan Paul, he's a big YouTuber. I give him credit for what he done on YouTube. I'm not discrediting him in any way. He's earned his respect by being the YouTube influencer. But at the same time, when we're looking at Logan Paul, I don't really see him. I mean, it was bad enough seeing him as United States champion, but why would you want Logan Paul to be in WWE? I mean, there's guys that literally that has worked their ass off in the indies that should have deserved Logan Paul's spot. That's where I really hate that celebrities, and don't get me wrong, I'm not bashing celebrities in any way, but I'm just saying that, when it comes down to the wrestling business, if they don't know anything about the criteria, yeah, they may know the acting part of it, but if they can't put on a good match and performance to make those fans literally want to pay more money out of their pocket just to see it, especially like WrestleMania, SummerSlam, then you got Royal Rumble, Survivor Series, those big 4 pay-per-views, then I don't really see WWE getting anywhere. And, going back to Triple H, the thing that really made me mad was with the Gunther and John Cena match. Cena should have never lost to Gunther. Gunther shouldn't have been the one to take John Cena's career. Now, if Kevin Impact was over that, I guarantee you that we would have got a better match with John Cena's last retirement. It wouldn't have been against Gunther. It'd have been somebody that Cena either had a big rivalry with or something that would have been a dream match that fans could see. Maybe another match between him and Chris Jericho, another match between him and Edge. You still got Randy Orton that is still in the business. I think personally, to me, if anybody was going to retire John Cena, personally, one man comes to mind for this, and I don't know if WWE would have allowed it, but I personally think that they should brought back one man. I think that it should have been Maven to have John Cena's last match. I mean, many people is going to agree to disagree, but that's what I think. Everybody's got their own opinions about stuff. Maven, I never seen him and Maven actually had a match. Then, there's a lot of dream matches we never saw. AJ Styles and Shawn Michaels was one of those. I know it was mentioned in the chat, I think either by VIP or Mark, one of those two. But in all technicality, and when we looking at future stars and who's going to take over the company or who's going to be the company man or who's going to be the next champion of that company, personally, I think, when it comes down, especially to the WWE title, the most legendary title in wrestling business history, I personally think that they should give Dominic Mysterio a chance. Dominic's been good because not only he's in there with his dad, which is Ray, but also he's, had, some segments with Eddie Guerrero. You could pull another upset to maybe not, like they did with Brock Lesnar and Eddie Guerrero at No Way Out 2004, I think, is when Eddie won the WWE title in that match. you could pull some segments like that. I mean, there's a lot of star caliber, not only besides Dominic, I think, that should have been WWE champion. But if we're looking at a man that should have been WWE champion, when it all comes down to it, I really think that we need to look into the indies a lot harder for the next guys that's coming into the business. And you got a lot of indie guys, don't get me wrong, guys. You got a lot of indie guys that are trying to get into the company, trying to make their name, their brand stand out. Kind of like the, call community. We, doing this to not only do it for fun, but we also, reliving what they are reliving over real life, which is IRL. So when we get down to the point of this is when we are looking at it twofold ways here, which means call and also real life, we gotta think, even as call creators and also EFED owners or company owners, we got to think about not only the prestige of the titles that we have, we also got to think about who's going to be the next one to take it, who's going to be the company man, who's going to lead the company, who can cut better promos, who can get the reactions going, who can be a better heel, who can be a better baby face, who can, it's all about who's got the better skill. I've learned this throughout the years that people that can work a crowd can get people to come in the seats. I've heard this before, and I think it was either Ricky Morton or Rich Ritchie told me this at one of the shows I was working on as security. It was basically how he put it was, we are here to do one thing. And, if we can't perform in that ring and if we can't fill those seats, we're not doing our job. So the same thing for the call industry. If you can't be in kayfabe and you want to take it to a personal level where you have to come on channels lurking and attacking people and doing this childish shit, it's not for you. Just going to say that out loud and proud. But also going back to what I was saying about the real life company is you got to have your structures set so you can build your foundation. Just like, with me with Titan Nation Alliance, I may be a small company, but you slowly seeing I'm progressing because I'm listening to legends that's helping me. That's the main thing that you guys got to realize, that, legends like Kevin Impact, Ricky Armstrong is what builds companies, not destroy them. And, the thing is about the whole thing about Kevin Impact over creative control over WWE, I personally think he would do a good job on it because he would, set structures and, just like Colin said, it'd go back to where, Seth Rollins won't get that push, but Kevin would work with him to make bigger stars like he does in JTV. So in other words, you may see Shandon as WWE champion for a minute, for example. You may see Colin Klein as WWE champion. I'm just throwing names out there to give you, examples of, what Kevin Impact might do. Now, if we're talking about AEW, that company's got a whole lot of former stars that, I think that Kevin Impact will do a good job on like he would WWE. But if we're going to WWE route before I head over to AEW, is that there's one man that I would love to see as WWE champion, and he's retired, Sting. He's never won the WWE title. So if Kevin Impact was over WWE, I guarantee you Sting would have been WWE champion. We would have Steve Boren, which is Sting in the wrestling world, as WWE champion. Now moving over to the creative side or creative control over AEW, there would be a lot of stars that I'm going to say that Kevin Impact would pretty much hold the potentials over to compare to especially, let's say if, Kevin Impact didn't take the creative control over WWE, and let's say if Triple H was over it, then Kevin Impact would pretty much have a Monday Night Wars with Triple H. So it would pretty much go back and forth. It would be one of those segments where, you have Monday Night Raw, then you have, Wednesday Night Dynamite, and Kevin Impact would be over that, making sure, like he does with JTV. I'm pretty sure that, his JTV roster, if he was over creative control with AEW, would smelt the floors with WWE. So in other words, WWE wouldn't have a chance because they are lacking creative control, if you see what I'm getting at. I mean, Triple H is over the creative as a content officer. You have to understand that just being a content officer means that you also have a ability of a mind to make creative decisions that's either going to do two of the following things. It's going to make it grow, or it's literally going to take your ratings down to where nobody wants to see it. And then, that could cause financial trouble because now you can't get the money in for the revenue. What do you have to do to make sure that you can get that revenue back so you can, not only lower the cost for lower class people like myself and Colin to come to these house shows, but also you got to think of it strategically. Why would you sell a company over to TKO that, even though I don't disrespect UFC guys anyway, okay? But I'm saying that if TKO is in debt with UFC, why would you do bad business like that and affect something everybody else loved? Just think you're, doing something right at the first start, and then when you get that business portion down to its foundation, you seen creaks in your foundation, you notice that it's not the best business decision. So going back on this thing here with Triple H, personally, I think, and I know if Kevin Impact was on the podcast, he would tell you the same damn thing. Personally, I think that was a bad business decision from WWE doing what they did with TKO partnership by him. That was the worst thing they could have done. I think there could have been more structures that they could have worked with. Personally, I think, WWE could have worked with AEW, and we would have saw, instead of, Monday Night Wars, we would have saw something that, would have been magical to see, Kenny Omega showing up to Monday Night Raw, or Kenny Omega showing up to WrestleMania, or Chris Jericho coming back to WWE for one night for Raw Anniversary, or, Edge, coming back, which is Adam Copeland on AEW side. I don't know if they changed it to Edge, or, I think they just changed it to Copeland, but still, the way I remember him is Edge. So, you have to look at it two different ways, in professional wrestling, also in call. And the way I look at this is the creative control is a valuable asset to have if you're holding that title in that job position, because you are in charge of not only the financial stress that is putting on that company, but you're also the make or break deal that brings in somebody that could help you save the company, or like it's doing to WWE right now, destroying it. So that's my answer for J Kid here. I know it was pretty much all information to take. I know it was over the time limit we had, but I tried to get to it as much as I could for detailing. But also, I skipped a question, so I'm going to let Colin go back to it, and then we can officially close this one out. But sorry to take up your time, Colin. But
no, that's good, man. You hit the nail right on the head again, because I'm like some days I'm good at explaining things, and some days I'm not.
Now, this is by DJ Chaotic. He said, if you had to choose a female manager in the current wrestling scene, past or present, who would feature your character?
Probably Bailey, I'd say. But I don't know if she'd want to be a manager. I think she'd want to get in there and wrestle. But I wouldn't mind being paired up with Bailey.
Now, as far as that goes, if that is Colin's last answer, I want to thank Colin for, taking his time for being a part of this podcast. I want to thank everybody who showed up, gave some answers, gave tough questions, and definitely want to thank Kevin Impact for allowing me to have Colin on this Nitro is Dead podcast, and also Colin. Both guys are amazing guys inside the call word, guys, but that's the only time we have. We will see you guys on the next episode, which will be episode 12, when I sat down with Wade Wyatt. But until then, guys, hope you enjoyed this little session of the podcast. As you know, I got to get ready for Mondo Mania, get my head straight because there's a lot of stuff happening tonight. So tune in for Mondo Mania Night 2 as we induct Kevin Impact into the Hall of Fame. As Kevin Impact was saying, I'm pretty sure Colin would tell you I'm right about this. Top that.
Yes.